Credit. Credit is recognition that a learner has successfully completed a prior course of learning corresponding to a qualification at a given level. For each such prior qualification, the student would have put in a volume of institutional or workplace learning. And the more complex a qualification, the greater the volume of learning that would have gone into it. The credit points give learners, employers, and institutions a means of describing and comparing the learning outcomes achieved. Based on this, the additional learning outcomes to acquire a qualification at a higher NSQF level can be determined. Credits quantify learning outcomes that are subject to valid. Reliable methods of assessment. The number of credits may be worked out on the basis of the number of notional learning hours that an average learner at a specified NSQF level might expect to take to achieve the learning outcomes, including the assessment. However, this is merely a guide and no credits are added or taken away if more or less time is taken to achieve the outcomes. No credits are earned by a learner if the learning outcomes are not achieved or, in the case of RPL, demonstrated. Credits can be used to assist learners to transfer between programs. This can happen only when awarding bodies determine how much credit can be transferred into which of their programs. This decision will depend upon the nature, content of the learning for which the credit has been given and the requirements of the program into which transfer is being sought. This will also facilitate multiple entry and exit pathways at each level or within a level, with the bundle of credits earned clearly certified by assessment and certifications bodies which have been authorized to do so. Wherever notional learning time is used, it should include all learning activities required for the achievement of the learning outcomes for a particular level, including, for example, formal learning including classes, training sessions, coaching, seminars and tutorials. B. Practice and learning on the job, gaining, applying and refining skills in the workplace. C. Involvement in informal learning, example community-based workshops, youth groups, play groups. D. Doing practical work in laboratories or other locations. C. E. Expected private study, revision and remedial work. F. Work-based activities which lead to assessment. G. Undertaking all forms of assessment. Notional learning time may also be linked to the International Standard Classification of Occupations ISCO 08, which includes reference to a nominal duration of learning and workplace training for each occupation. The need to undertake any or all this will be considered when credit is being allocated to qualification or learning program. The mix of learning activities will vary from program to program. In school, the learning might be mostly class-based. In higher education, much of the learning time could be spent outside of formal lectures, etc. In other situations, much of the learning will be work-based. In determining the notional learning time involved in achieving outcomes of learning, for example, in a module or unit, program or any piece of addressed learning. No rigid allocation of time is implied in this system, particularly as flexible and distance learning develops. Now it's credit transfer. One credit transfer is the process of recognizing prior learning that has been rated by the assessment and certification bodies authorized to do so. The transfer of credit points from one qualification or learning program into another helps to minimize duplication of learning. Learners may have already achieved NSQF credits for learning that they have previously undertaken, and it may be possible for all or some of these credits to be transferred to another qualification or learning program. The key focus of credit transfer decisions should be on the benefit to the learner and on support for effective learning pathways. Transparency in decision making for credit recognition and transfer is a critical factor in supporting and encouraging the ongoing involvement of learners in education and training. 2. Credit transfer would facilitate access and promote new learning opportunities without compromising learning outcomes associated with a given NSQF level. Those responsible for designing qualifications and learning programs will be encouraged to identify opportunities for credit transfer wherever they exist. 3. Credit transfer can be made in various ways, such as allowing a learner to drop a subject already studied or take the next level course in that subject. Direct admission to higher level, such as direct second year admission, etc. This could also take the form of reservation of seats for students coming with prior learning background. The credit transfer system in each industry, sector or academic domain needs to be detailed out by the NSQC with the inputs from the respective institutions or universities or ministries or regulators, etc. at the time of registration of qualification, so that the students undertaking the qualification are clear about the possible credit transfer opportunities available to them. This could include issues such as a standardization of course content, syllabus, notional learning time, credit values, etc. B. Standardization of credit values for prior or informal learning. C. Stipulation of time limit and other conditions beyond which the credit will not survive, as students may forget training inputs unless these are put to use. D. Stipulation of related subjects for credit transfer. For example, credits in chemistry would be relevant for polymer technology. Credits in turning or machining may be relevant for mold making, though both mold making and polymer science form part of the same 3-year diploma currently in force.